You're listening to the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. How we doing? How we doing? ESPN came out with a Rookie of the Year ranking and had Angel Reese on the top as being named Rookie of the Year. You know, I can stomach so much, and then I can reach a point that my stomach cannot hold any more of the toxic food that I've been placed in my body. And I'll speak about this, and the reason I'll speak about it is, it's kind of a travesty, if you ask me. I mean, how you can go around just making up things as you want to make them up, how you can go around saying anything you want. And folks, I've come to the conclusion, and I'll just tell you as plain as I can, ESPN gets paid to do that. ESPN is biased to do that. Stephen A. Smith is biased to do that. And every individual that you see come on television is completely biased, and they're getting paid as an employee to report what the producer puts on their desk. Now, whether they agree with it or not, it really doesn't matter. Okay, it's just something that can create a buzz within the community or an uproar. But the individuals at ESPN, it's not the same. ESPN used to be the flagship. It used to be the #1 network where we went to for sports. And that's not the case anymore. A lot of things have changed over the time. And when things change over the time, you know what? You get a lot of new faces and a lot of new places. What does Money Mike mean? Let me tell you about #1. Let me tell you about Stuart Scott. Passed away when he was 49 years old. One of the wonderful men on ESPN. And let me tell you something. He did it the right way. He reported the sports out of North Carolina, and just a first-class act, played football at North Carolina. Now, let me tell you what you got going on today, because it's a little comical. And I'll tell you, it starts right here. Okay, when you look at this and you're missing one here, let me tell you, this is the straightest arrow of the bunch. Max Kellerman. Max Kellerman was the straightest arrow of the bunch. Stephen A. could not stand Max because Max was extremely intelligent, carried more intelligence over the airways. I've watched Max in boxing for many years, and Max did an outstanding job. He just did what needed to be done, Ivy League, and took care of business. Now you just got everybody's getting hoodwinked. Okay, Stephen A. claims it's his ship. I don't believe that. I don't think Disney gives him any credibility at all. And I think his best thing he can do is hold on to ESPN, because if he falls off ESPN, he'll probably fall off the sports world. The podcast won't hold it down for him. Here's the deal. You take a look at the people you have on ESPN and how they report it and what they do. They're all paid to do this, folks. They are paid to do this. And the way it works out for them, if they want to keep their job, this is what they got to do. They got to report it the way the producer says he wants it. And if they don't do that, then guess what? They don't have a job anymore. So guess what that does to the information that you receive from ESPN? It's not relevant. It's not real. It's not the truth. Okay? It's going beyond the depth of reporting, because no reporting is being done. You've got millions of fans are watching, and I feel bad for Angel Reese. And the reason I feel bad for Angel Reese is the media, ESPN, has put her in such a bad spot that Angel Reese doesn't even do press conference interviews anymore after her games. Okay, the public has watched. They've seen what she's done. They're looking at it, and she's making a mockery of the game. Now, you could turn this slightly into a black and white issue, and that's what ESPN objective is to do. Okay, so when they come out and they tell everybody ESPN makes a decision, Caitlinclark's going to be the Rookie of the Year. Okay, that's the decision that they've made. And guess what? You got all the fans of Clark and everybody else are just literally upset, okay? Because they're watching this and they're going, how in the world can you make somebody become the rookie of the year? Well, you know what? I mean, Caitlin's tracking it pretty good and she's playing pretty good and hitting all the shots. But that really doesn't matter because you get Stephen A., and Stephen A. is just going to be Stephen A. He doesn't even, he doesn't report it. He just goes on there and tries to make it exciting. So he says Angel Reese may be rookie of the year, and that's what they want to happen. Okay, so when those things go down that way, and then all of a sudden you get a chance to see it all happen in action, I'll really tell you, there's nothing friendly about it. Like I said, you got Stephen A. and Max. Max is sitting on the shelf right now. I think he's under contract for ESPN. They don't have any work for Max because Max just flat out tells the truth, and Max keeps it clean. And Max will not lose his integrity over reporting something that's not real. That's Max Kellerman. And Max Kellerman, like I said, he's come out of the Ivy League. He's earned his reputation. He's a great boxing analyst. And Max knows sports, and he's not part of this charade. So Max is getting paid by ESPN right now, sitting on the shelf. Okay, you got ESPN reporters are reporting Angel Reese, and you got Caitlin Clark. And Caitlin's winning and everything, but they're just trying to make this. Can somebody please tune in to ESPN? Because they're going to make these special announcements from time to time, and it never will work itself out. Okay, you got to understand, Stephen A's got Angel Reese Rookie of the Year. I don't even know how Angel Reese could even accept an award like that, okay, because it's not comparable. I mean, you got one team going rising, heading up to the top. You got another team that's losing ball games and lost 4 in a row, and it's just becoming a mockery of the game. I don't know how you do it, but it gets done, okay? And these are things that you just got to know as you look at Stephen A. makes a bold prediction. The Rookie of the Year, he's got Angel Reese. That's what they want to do. Now, Caitlin's just out there being Caitlin, okay? There's nothing special. There's nothing anybody needs to change. It's just a matter of time before all this shakes itself out. So why am I telling you all this? Because it's messing with the integrity of the game. And anytime you mess with the integrity of the game, okay, you have no business being around the game. If you can't give it to the fans, the truth, the WNBA fans and the kids and everyone, if you can't give them the truth, how do you expect them to exceed in life by reporting what's not true? And I can't do it. I really, you know what? I don't see color in basketball. I see 2 players that have taken the court. I've reported on them. I've even added some Angel Reese coverage. But here's the deal. You're going to have a hard time convincing me in any way, shape, or form that guess what? Angel Reese outperformed Caitlin Clark this year. I really don't see that as that being something that actually happened. And when you look at it, you got one that's trending up towards the playoffs. That's what you want. You want to have success. You can't receive individual awards when the team is not having success. Okay, that's really, really hard to do. And the wins, everything, and I've seen them go down is all the way to lift Angel Reese, as Stephen A. Smith said openly and unapologetically. Well, Angel Reese is marketable, and that should count for something. But that doesn't account for dollars, because if you add the dollars of Angel Reese and the dollars of Caitlin Clark, we really know who is out marketed who. But Angel Reese, man, she has a career outside of the game of basketball. If Angel Reese focused 100% on basketball, we have no idea how great of a player she could be. However, that's not the deal. Obviously, you could tell when it came time to hit the court what happened. After Paris, the Indiana Fever were in the gym, and they came back out of the break blazing saddles. and you see everybody wasn't in the gym, okay, for Chicago, okay, and that got Chicago to a horrible start. They're probably just going to go ahead and finish it out for the draft. But here's my concern with what happened with Chicago. You got to look at this in the correct fashion and understand you can't be a pro basketball player and not work on your game. And I get really, really highly concerned when I hear Coach Teresa Witherspoon, okay, had a problem with this with Christy Sides earlier, but she got over it. When I hear a professional coach not mention an athlete's name, that tells me there's problems. Okay, there's problems going on with the Chicago Fever, okay, because if Teresa Witherspoon is not willing to talk about Angel Reese as a player, that means they've got a disconnect and it's still going on. And that's what's happening, folks. And when you get to this point, and you can tell me the Chicago Sky can lose 4 straight games, but they have the Rookie of the Year, okay, that can't even contemplate what they are actually saying and won't come to the podium to address the press, okay? That's an interesting subject for me. But it all starts back with ESPN. They're the one who kind of created this deal. And they're trying to carry it forward. It's just going to run out of gas. I don't see how they're going to get there. But here's the deal. They took a situation and they monopolized on it. You got Angel Reese. Okay, so, you got to look at it this way. ESPN, okay, the WNBA is their client. Okay, that's their client, right? And so when you get them as a client, they work. Okay, they're trying to balance their network ratings. They're overbalanced in ratings with Clark. They are overbalanced in ratings with Clark. And they're really forced. Here's the force. Here's the picture. They're forced to play Clark on ESPN, ABC, national TV, and here's the reason why. Okay, when you get somebody like Clark, the advertisers are telling you who they're willing to pay money for. Okay, so it's not going to be ESPN. It's not going to be any Rookie of the Year that's going to change and have Chicago Sky on prime time. Okay, Caitlin's already taken that. The sponsors, the ones that buy the advertisement, have said they want Caitlin, and that's what they're going to get. Okay, that's just how that's going to go. So as ESPN tries to fluff it up, they're just going to run out of gas. Okay. And, to me, I think you could give them any award, or everybody the awards, as many awards as you want to give, because it's not going to matter, okay? It's not going to matter what Stephen A. says. And the WNBA won't reach its full potential until you give the fans an opportunity to vote. Once you give the fans the opportunity to vote, the league will have tremendous success. But you can't leave a vote to ESPN, who is getting paid to say that somebody is better than the other when all of America can see this, and it's getting worse by the minute, okay, and it's really reached the point of tearing itself down, okay, and that's where you're at. I've seen a lot of years over the media. I've seen a lot of things said. I've seen a lot of things misquoted. I've seen players have a lot of actions, and a lot of actions that I saw players have, I never report on it. I've seen a lot of things where people say or do things that are not true. For whatever reason, it's unethical in the world of media. Now, if you want to teeter the line and not carry any credibility, okay, and when you got a flagship, like I told you, this all started way back with Stuart Scott, okay? And when you get me, you're going to tell me Stuart Scott, booyah. The first class, passed away from cancer at 49 years old, one of the best in the business. And there's nobody at ESPN could even hold a candle to him, okay, and what he did with the viewership and how the people loved the way he did his reporting. He never got concocted or confused on what was right. His ethics stood before him. He stood on his own principle, and everyone was willing to accept him just the way he is. Okay? But when you get there today, that's not the case. You got Max Kellerman. He stands on that principle. Max won't go on there, and he's not going to get in there and tell anybody anything that's not true. He's not going to jump on there and start asking or saying things that are not going to happen. Okay? But that's not the case here. Okay? You got Stephen A. He'll rock and roll any way the wind blows. That's just how it goes. Okay? So you make up this crew, and you get the reporters, all the ESPN reporters, saying all these different things and how it is and what it should be, and all of a sudden they became experts. No, they're not experts. They're paid experts, okay? But it's not to report what they want to. It's not to get a story out there. It's not to get boots on the ground. It's whatever they believe is going to give them the best rating. So when you're biased, you can never tell the truth. I think the WNBA is fantastic. I think the WNBA is in a transition. I think the WNBA is holding on to what it used to be and not what it can be. And I think that is the detriment, even though, as everyone is projected out, okay, this is going to be great for the game of women's basketball, but it cannot be great for the game if you're manipulating and not being 100% ethical on what your eyes see. And when you get to start putting out reports that are false, that's going way too far. And if you want to be honest, you know, let's just be honest. If everybody took a look at Rickea Jackson, the conversation would change in 2 minutes. Because if you put up Rickea Jackson's highlights, you put up Caitlinclark's highlights, and that's Rickea Jackson on the LA Sparks, and you put up Angel Reese highlights, that's going to be a tough one to not really see through it. Okay? So we got to do what's right. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. We stand before it. And it's basically a form of corruption. If you really looked at it, I mean, it's a form of corruption, but everybody, as they say, is entitled to their opinion. However, when you are the flagship of sports and you're that network, your opinion should not be manipulated. That's the way I feel, and as I tell you all day, it's my opinion. I believe that it is what it is. I think ESPN's going to do what it's going to do. And as Stephen A. said, he's already got a Rookie of the Year. He's got that mentally already locked in. It's Angel Reese, so it is what it is. But we'll all see. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. All things are possible. To those who believe, we promise we'll get better and better. You'll go higher and higher, and we'll see you soon.